until you get to like Daytona Beach, which is like an hour and a half south of me. But I do go into the Gulf of Mexico because it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Well, what other, since, on cryptic reports or anything, what else do you have on cryptids? Is there any sighting of Mothman or anything in your area? Or, anything like that?
There hasn't been. I mean, there was, I can't quite remember if it was James that reported it, but there was a UFO sighting off the coast of St. Augustine just a few days ago. Unfortunately, I missed it, but I've only had like one sighting in my entire life, and it was back in October. So the only real cryptid stories from Florida is of the skunk ape.
Now, wasn't there was one? One was just reported.
Go ahead.
I said one was just reported in your area about a week ago.
Yeah, that was it. And then there was another one down on the Space Coast, like around Vero Beach. It was that weird, looked like a contrail or something like that. That one. Well, obviously I read about it. I keep missing all these good stories and everything. The gimbal video was actually filmed off the coast of Florida by the Navy pilot stationed at NAS Jax and NAS Mayport.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Everybody wants to talk about Fravor and the Tic Tacs, but the gimbal video was actually filmed like right off the Jacksonville coast.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, all I really know about it is what I saw off of Unidentified, to tell you the truth. Like obviously you know about the David Fravor Tic Tac videos that were off the California coast. Well, the gimbal one is the one where it's a FLIR video, and it's basically the one where you see it turning like it's not supposed to be, doing things that it's not supposed to be on the FLIR video. I know. And I, like, when I first read about that, I thought it was off the Virginia coast, but no, it was filmed for NAS Mayport. F-18s out there just doing maneuvers.
I think, down the road, it's going to be soft disclosure, but I think we're going to start seeing a little bit more and more, but it's not going to be right away. It's not going to be anything major, but I think a lot of this stuff is going to start creeping out, just like that from the Nimitz. But you think about that, 2004, what year is it now? Well, or I should say, what year was it last year? It was 2019. It took how many years before that little clip of the two fighter pilots, encountering something that was outmaneuvering them at a high speed?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the military's not going to admit that they can't protect us from something, let's say.
I don't think they. I mean, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they're all about the national security, and they want the American people to know that they can do their job in protecting us. And if there's something out there that they can't catch, they're not going to tell us about it.
I think, it's strange because, a lot of these sightings, I do some, research on them too. A lot of these UFO sightings, the military sends out and scrambles jets, but we don't hear about it. It's buried in the news because that's not the interesting part. But again, Bruce Maccabee was on our show here back a couple months ago. He'll be coming on here at the end of the month. But he analyzed, the 2004 Tic Tac thing. And he said, quote unquote, it could not be anything human operated because the speed it was going, anything in it would have been liquefied.
Right. And you do have a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, these are just something that these pilots misidentified." And I'm like, "Well, how could they? These are highly trained pilots that know their aircraft from the tip of the nose to the tail wings. I mean, they know that plane back and forth. They know how to use all the equipment on it. You can't sit there and tell me that they're misidentifying a balloon or another plane or something like that just because of they're watching it on the FLIR video. No, I don't buy that."
Well,
they caught something that they have no idea what it is, and nobody has any idea what it is.
Yeah, well, the thing is, too, these two pilots, they had their afterburners even going, and they couldn't even catch up with it.
Right, and that the F-18 is not a slouch.
No.
Practically my entire family, including in-laws, are former military. So I've got a brother right now who works for Raytheon out in Arizona, and he was former Air Force, and he was a electrician for the A-10 Warthog. Well, he was attached to an A-10 squadron as an electrician. And, I mean, the A-10's one of the slowest jet that we've got, but the F-18, that thing goes in the afterburn. That thing is just booking. So if they can't catch it, yeah, like I said, those pilots, they know that plane from front to back and side to side. You can't sit there and tell me that they misidentified something earthly.
Well, I don't know.
Or the Nimitz guys, like out in California with all the Tic Tacs. Like even the guy on the ship in the radar room picking up this, thousands of these things looking like it's snowing across his radar screen. I mean, we don't have the video of that, obviously, because it got taken away from them, but you can't tell me that these people who are doing the job that they are specifically trained to do are mistaken in seeing something. Because the sighting that I had, my wife and I were driving she's from Virginia Beach, and we were driving back, and we just hit 95 South in South Carolina. And it was starting to get dark, but it wasn't dark enough for there to be any stars. And there's this light that is following the interstate in the sky. Now, if it was an airplane with its landing lights on, it would have blown over us. So I had her pick up my phone, pull up the star map on my phone, pointed at that, not a star. And she took like a few pictures of it, and for a good 20 minutes, running straight down the interstate, we're seeing this tic-tac shape just follow all of the twists and turns in the interstate and everything, and then she got a few pictures of it that way, and then it poofed out. And then it was like a monowing shaped cloud where it poofed out at. And that's the only sight that I've ever had.
Well, one of my guests I had on a year ago, which I became friends with, and I don't even think James even remembers this one, but, he was really into UFOs, but never saw one. Well, him and his girlfriend, which now is his wife, went out, parking out, near where the power lines were, out in the countryside. And all of a sudden, they saw at a distance a UFO, or they thought it was a UFO, but they were more concentrating in each other, and they kind of like brushed it off. And it got closer and closer, and then he realized the thing was like, almost overhead, and he took off. And he said that thing actually followed him quite a long ways before it took off. I think what's happening is two things. I think if these are aliens from another planet, not our own, from the past or a parallel planet or what, we have no idea what's going on with these things. But they are now starting to show force because the sightings are not dropping off like they normally do. They're increasing drastically, and they're being seen everywhere. And they're not hiding like they did before. I mean, people are seeing them in vast numbers. And people who are doctors, lawyers, people are very credible. I think for some reason they're trying to make their presence known. I think our military is basically helpless with them because we can't do anything. We can't stop them.
Right. Yeah, we can't stop them. We can't do anything like that. Although on the other side of the coin, maybe because they haven't, not to use that old tired cliche line, but haven't landed on the White House lawn yet, is because they look at our planet and see that we can't even get along with ourselves. So what makes them think that we'll get along with them?
Well, I think there's some motive here going on because, we've talked about it extensively on the show. I mean, I've had some major guests that's been on the show on ufology. And I think there is a motive here. You got two camps. You got the fuzzy little warm creatures that are here to help mankind. Then you got the other ones I hear a lot of. They're evil. They're not here to help us. If they were here to help us, these fuzzy little creatures would have helped us a long time ago. They haven't done anything to help us. I think something is going on. I think it's to the point now where the government's slowly doing their soft disclosure a little bit faster because they can't. I think what's going to happen is they lied so freaking long that they're going to get caught. The government's going to get caught with their pants down because something's going to happen one of these days. And then the government's going to have to say, hey, we can't defend our planet, our country, you, the citizen, with what's going on. But the thing is, we don't know what's going on. So they say. I got a funny feeling if they're abducting people against their own wish or your wishes, then they're not here to help us. If they're taking your sperm or your eggs or your DNA, or they're taking you at the same as the cattle mutilations, something bad is going on. And this has been going on too long. So they're just not getting a few people to figure out what makes us tick. It's something is going on, and I can't comprehend what it is because I'm not intelligent enough.
Right. And it could be that, or it could be they look at us like we look at ants or animals or whatever. They just they're just kind of, they're not malevolent or benevolent. They look at us and they're like, oh, okay, well, here's a bunch of people. They're not very intelligent, so we'll just treat them like they treat each other and the animals and whatnot.
Well, the case, what it is, they're abducting people. They're experimenting with people. A lot of cases where there's 50, 60,000 people are vanishing every year. I got a funny feeling it's connected with ufology. I really do. I think that these people are not being returned. Human mutilation, cattle mutilation, and it's so much more. It's going on. Implants. I think we're going to be heading towards something that's not going to be very nice. And I think one of these days our government just won't be able to cover it up. Right. You're right about that. Like they're probably, they're never gonna just flat out. I don't think they'll ever just come flat out and admit it. It's gonna have to be them coming down and saying, "Hey, here we are. They knew about us. There's nothing you can do about it." Yeah, but the bad thing is they might come down here with their own Hunt's barbecue sauce and say, hey, we're going to have one hell of a big barbecue on your planet. Do you want to hang around after the break for another about 15 minutes, or do you have to go now?
Oh, no. It's Friday. I can stick around.
Okay, well, be back in about 2.5 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark.
She